Sadi Kapit and welcome to another episode of Thailand Tuesday here on the Fungit Pod. It's Tuesday and you know what it means. And over the last few weeks, I try to tell a story, right? I try to explain like what made me come to Thailand, how did I end up in Thailand, and slowly try to paint a picture of like how is it to live in northeastern Thailand in Isan and so on, right? And while I thought it was a good idea, storytelling at its finest, I'm taking you on a journey. The questions I get via email, funkitpod@gmail.com, or even via socials, thank you for that, were all about, hey, what about COVID in Thailand? What about COVID in Thailand? How is life with COVID? What about the COVID measures? Is there a pandemic in Thailand? Well, elephant in the room, I guess. So, I know it was not a Thailand pun, but yeah, elephants are here. Elephant in the room. Let's talk about COVID in Thailand, right? Okay, so here we go. Actually, it's perfect timing because today is Thailand Tuesday. Yesterday, when this podcast comes out, April 26th on Monday, new COVID measures have been put in place for at least 2 weeks. Those COVID measures now mean a more stricter lockdown kind of thing, if you want to call it that. So what's happening right now? The new measures say sports venues are closed, which really annoys the out of me. Parks are closed. Tattoo shops, massage shops, everything is closed except malls are open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you can eat there and shop there, I guess. So malls are open, parks are closed, open air parks are closed, malls are open. Just saying. Restaurants are open until 9 p.m., are allowed to have dining in until 9 p.m. They need to have 2 meters space between the tables. If there's less than 2 meters, they need to have like some plastic dividers in there. Safety first. As if you've ever been to Southeast Asia, you know that's not the case, and no local restaurant, like small street food restaurant, will be able to follow this. What else? Yeah, sports closed, which is really annoying. You can meetings are allowed to up to 20 people because the virus only spreads when there are more than 20 people present, of course. So we're copying some of the measures from the West now that haven't really been that successful, but maybe they have. So who knows? I'm not hating. That's not a COVID podcast or conspiracy theory podcast here. I'm just saying what's been implemented now this Monday. They say at least for 2 weeks, and then we see again. Mandatory mask wearing also in public. If you don't wear a mask, you have to pay a fine in, I think, 40 or something provinces here in Thailand, which is not a big deal actually, because most people here wear masks. That's one thing that I can talk about quite openly, I believe. So mask wearing in Asia, I believe, is not the biggest of deal. People are used to wearing masks. They wear masks when they're sick with the flu, with a cold. They wear masks when they go somewhere so that they don't sneeze at people or whatever. So no big deal. Also, if you live in Bangkok or in other cities that are polluted AF, then you're also used to wearing masks once in a while when the pollution is bad. So for someone living in Bangkok or then in the north in Chiang Mai or other cities that see pollution spike very frequently, wearing a mask is not that big of a deal. And we don't think it, impeaches on our freedoms that much, because you can still say what you want even if you wear a mask. Just saying. So mask wearing is not a big deal, but by now it's mandatory if you're leaving the house, which is of course a bit weird, because if I leave the house and there's no one around me, why would I wear a mask? But I think it's just to make sure people are aware of, you have to take a mask with you. And yeah, very often you just start walking, there's no one, and all of a sudden you're like in between people and you don't wear a mask. So I think that's just why they do it. Convenience stores, 7-Eleven, if you know Asia, if you know Thailand, you know it's the country of 7-Elevens. 7-Elevens can open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. right now, I believe. Was it 10 p.m., 11 p.m., around that? Also for the next 2 weeks, so no 24/7 7-Eleven shopping right now. That's about it with the measures. So that just came into effect this past Monday, yesterday. Before it was a little bit more relaxed. So it's still, if you go, everything is open basically. It was open. You just have to check the temperature, of course, wear a mask, get your hands, get sanitizer, and then that's it. But nothing else was really that much affected. Besides, that almost everybody is working from home. So there are work from home orders, like the government said, hey, if you can work from home. So unis have online classes. Most office jobs are now work from home office jobs. And yeah, let's see how that's going to impact the future, what impact this will have on the future. Of course, now lots of companies, of course, see, hey, work from home can work. We will have another podcast on working with the Thais. It's actually a famous cross-cultural studies book that's called Working with the Thais. Maybe I can elaborate a little bit on this as well. But yeah, so work from home is a thing right now for almost everybody. Study from home is a thing, of course, as well. What else in regards to COVID? It's the new normal is also a buzzword here, and the new normal, but now is the new normal. And I listened to Joe Rogan yesterday where they discussed it. The new normal shouldn't become the normal. And I think actually here maybe in Asia, but in Thailand for sure, like where we are, right? People are adapting really fast to that new normal and making the new normal the normal. So Rogan talked about like the vaccine passport and that it's not a good idea because then they would not only use it for the vaccine, of course, they would use it to track you for everything and so on. And I could see this working here, to be quite honest. I could see the vaccine passport, of course, being implemented. They already talk about it. If you want to travel, if you want to come to Thailand and you can prove that you have the vaccine, you wouldn't have to do the quarantine, for example. So those things are being discussed right now. So yeah, I could see that work here in Thailand. Speaking of traveling, well, domestic travel is possible, so there are flights and so on happening. We just had the Songkran holidays, the Thai New Year holidays. Lots of people are still traveling. Yeah, still, I mean, there are no external tourists, no tourists from abroad, international tourists coming in right now. Of course, just a few, I believe, came in because you had to do the 2 weeks quarantine, and I mean, who does 2 weeks quarantine just for holidays? So it's quite empty right now. Hotels seem to struggle quite a lot. Everyone in the tourism industry seems to struggle, obviously. But yeah, domestic travel is there. They are also discussing another, not check, but they're giving you discounts if you book. So not only hotels themselves give you discounts, of course they do, but the government has some incentives there that if you book a domestic holiday, then you get some discounts from the government or whatnot. And last year they had something that if you went to local restaurants and so on, you could get like a governmental voucher and you could get some percentage off and so on. So they're thinking about doing this again to keep boosting the economy here. Okay. Anything else that is, I don't see that the new normal is the normal already. I don't even remember how it was back then when we didn't have COVID. It's been since March, I believe, that we are under March last year, that we had those COVID measurements in place here in Thailand. So it's been a year and a month, almost, 2 months then. 1 year, 2 months. Happy anniversary, COVID measurements. You still have public transport going. Everybody wearing masks. Everybody trying to like keep a distance, of course. Especially if you're a foreigner, because last year was a thing that they said like, hey, foreigners are bringing in COVID. So if you look like a foreigner, then there are lots of people like moving away from you, like, yeah, he's bringing COVID. No one says it, but you can feel this very often. That people just start moving in different directions when you're in the SkyTrain or in the subway, for example. So then I think that's about it already when it comes to COVID. So besides that, there's of course the most important, but vaccines. Yeah, so vaccine part. Okay, so here we go. So right now, if you want a vaccine, you have to be on a list, on like a waiting list, like a queue, like in many other countries, right? So last week, someone inquired on social media with like the biggest private hospital, the most expensive private hospital also in Thailand. So, hey, I would like to get that vaccine. How do I do? And then they replied to him and said, yeah, sorry, right now you need to have a Thai ID to get a vaccine. So if you just live here, and you say I want a vaccine, if you don't have a Thai ID, a Thai citizenship ID, then you can get on the list. The vaccines that we have here, I think, also depends which hospital you go to. I think the expensive private hospitals, they have like a wider range of vaccines available for you. The big ones that we have here, of course, is AstraZeneca. I think they have like, I know in the tens of millions of doses that they bought. and I think they bought 3 million doses of the Sinovac vaccine from China. And I just read the news that they're also apparently signed an agreement with is it actually called Sputnik or was it a joke? I'm not sure. The Russian vaccine. So that's apparently also one that's going to come here. Then the private hospitals apparently also, of course, buy on an international market by themselves. The Pfizer, BioNTech, whatnot. But the official ones are the AstraZeneca, Sinovac, and then I believe the Russian one. It would be funny if it's really called Sputnik or if it was just a joke on social media. I'm not sure right now. I actually got offered to take the vaccine because I work for a university here, right? And the uni asked me if I want to get the vaccine. But upon my inquiry, like which vaccine and how is it going to work, what's the process going to be, they couldn't answer this to me. And the document that they sent, where I would have to basically apply for the vaccine, was just all in Thai. And while my spoken Thai is okayish, I believe, my writing and reading is not that great. And it was a lot and didn't really say much. It just asked to give all my information, but it still didn't say which vaccine it was. So I had to forego this for now because there was just not enough information for me to make a informed decision, unfortunately. But maybe I get more information on this, and then maybe I can give you an update on like whether or not we actually got the vaccine and how it feels and what's happening. Also, to be quite frank, I didn't want to be a guinea pig like in the very beginning, because again, they didn't tell me which vaccine it would have been. Okay, other than that, they said they're gonna plan on vaccinating or having enough vaccinations for everybody until early next year. It's a long way to go. But yeah, let's see how this goes, how this pans out. I think now that we see other countries starting to vaccinate more like faster and opening up again, I think Thailand is going to try to follow suit rather soon because, we need tourism, right? Thailand lives from the tourism industry, international tourism. So then they will try to find ways to open up rather sooner than later, I believe. And vaccines probably going to be a big part of this. All right, that's the COVID-19 update from Thailand as of April 26th. I'm not sure if I forgot anything. If you have any questions, it's always easy to ask. As I said, the new normal is unfortunately normal by now. So I don't really remember. Sorry for getting too excited again. I don't really remember how it was without all the COVID stuff before. So yeah, shout out if you need anything. Social media, comment sections, email funkitpod@gmail.com. Next week, storytelling time again. Or maybe if you have questions, then just question times again. That's it for this week in Thailand. Take care. See you soon. Sawadee krap.